How's it going, everybody? This is Just in Our Minds, and we're back. But today we're going to do a solo podcast. Today we're going to talk about the whole dopamine pandemic we have going on. The pandemic's an interesting word to use, but it's what I call a dopamine zombie. And I'm going to kind of paint a picture for you. So let's take it back to the late 1800s, early 1900s. We had the revolution. That's when it was more so based, we could even take it back a step further. When we think of our ancestors, there was always a bartering system. There was always certain people doing certain things, whether it was, most of them were tribes early on, and then we had people that were hunters, gatherers, builders, and anywhere in between. So we always had groups of people or individuals doing certain things, and they're building and creating. So now we're going to move forward into the late 1800s, early 1900s. And we're still having a lot of those individuals that are creating and building, and everybody has, for the most part, some sort of job that they're doing where they're helping different angles of society. This starts fading a little bit, moving into the early 1900s, around 1914, and around that area is when the 8-hour workday comes into play. We can thank people like Henry Ford for that, and that's when the whole idea shifts, and the whole idea behind clocking in, working, and clocking out. Moving forward a little bit further than that, out of the idea of compartmentalizing and the 9 to 5 hour work week, we start seeing a trend of and building of consumerism comes into the 1950s. That's when we get the push of our economy, and that's when people stop creating, and there's more and more companies that start producing, and that's where the beginning of our consumerism really starts moving forward. Our consumerism starts to take from and build up the idea that we need all these things in life, and those things are anywhere from, more and more people have different types of furniture. That's when we have more expendable income from the boost of our economy. That's when we start seeing more and more things moving forward to the 1950s and on. That's when we start seeing TVs. That's when we start seeing more time away from the dinner tables and more time in front of the TV screen. Although these can still be memorable family experiences, that's when we start having less conversation and whatnot, from my understanding and through my research. And then we'll fast forward to the early 1980s into the early 2000s. That's when we're going to see a lot more TV ads, and that's when we're going to see more commercials and these type of things that will also impact consumerism of wanting to need more of these material possessions. Different, cars become cheaper. And they're more more people can afford them. That's when we start seeing credit cards, and that's when we start moving forward into the realm of like a hyper consumerism. And then we have the introduction in 2010 of social media. Within that range is when it starts getting big, and then now we have the beginning stages of like algorithms and more external validation that comes from a different level of functionality. And that the consumerism thing is just a small bit to the bigger project that I've been working on the back end for creating some programs and things like that to help with people. What happens is we have a tendency now then that's when cell phones become more prevalent, then the apps become apps start coming on the cell phones. They start developing more stuff. It's not just Facebook, it's not just what was the first one? We had MySpace, and then it goes I should back it all the way up. We have AOL. Then from AOL, we have MySpace. And then from MySpace, we have Facebook. And then from Facebook, we have Instagram. And then nowadays, you speed forward from 2010 till now, and we have a plethora of options. And then our mind starts going from being able to watch. You could see it from TV. You could see it from the way commercials, everything. Everything's built to relate or catch our eye, and the amount of time that's spent. We used to be able to read books for hours. before TV shows, we could have conversations for an hour or more, and then we had no distractions. But as from 2010 till 2025, you got TV shows that are way more fast paced, and they're cutting angles. You notice the each frame or each scene is shorter, and that's part of the reason is because of our attention span and where our attention span's going. And then a lot of this all relates to dopamine. So moving forward, as social media becomes more prevalent, our screen time goes from 45 seconds here and there throughout the day to an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. And now the average here in America is 10 to 12 hours of screen time on your cell phone or laptop or computer, and somewhere in between a day. And that's where we start falling into this dopamine zombie, is what I call it. And what that is so dopamine is a chemical in your brain that releases a feel-good. It's basically a feel-good chemical. And so what that does is it helps your brain, helps your body, and find like a way to feel good for it. Nowadays it's for validation, but before it was for finishing a project or giving you motivation to do a project, giving you some sort of stimulation to get something done, or as you get it done, you'll notice a big opportunity to feel something good in that process. But nowadays, what happens is we have our phones in our hands, we have laptops, we wake up, we're drinking caffeine, we're doing all these things to potentially go to a job that we're just doing for the sake of money to feed our families. And so any chance we get, we're eating processed foods. We're not navigating what's necessary for our own success. With dopamine being so easy to accept in your life, by just waking up in the morning, having blue light directly, like in your eyes directly first thing in the morning. Most people are waking up before there's even sunlight out to help with your body's circadian rhythm. So you're sitting here looking at blue light first thing in the morning, and then what happens? You're already getting dopamine. You're getting these small dopamine hits throughout the day, and this stuff starts compounding on your brain and your mentality. The depression levels are higher than they have been in a long time. And what happens, this blue light starts tricking your brain into these little tiny hits. It could be your cell phone, it can be porn, it can be TV shows, it can be food. All of these are tiny dopamine hits that what they're doing is relaying a message to your brain that you accomplished something. But with getting these constant dopamine hits, and it's nothing but constant stimuli all day, and they're in shorter and shorter bursts. If you notice from social media from the beginning or YouTube, you could probably watch a 15 to 45 minute video on something and you could stay interacted. But if you have your cell phone or something, game system or whatever that is that stimulates your brain, you have to go back to it. Like a lot of people end up picking up their phone constantly, or there's even that phantom vibrating syndrome that people get. They think their phone's vibrating or they can hear something. Today, what we're really dialing in is what we can do to like mitigate the effects of dopamine. And I know there's a ton of people out there right now that just feel drained, they're overstimulated, and then they just feel dull, and like they go through the day looking for more. Then they lose track of the dopamine hits. So you pick up your phone first thing in the morning, or you turn on the TV, you're flooded with little hits here and there. Even stuff like the news can raise your cortisol levels first thing in the morning and really stimulate or make your day hard because you're overstimulated first thing in the morning. And then it's just a steady drop throughout the day. And then every time you pick up your phone, you get an email, you get whatever, you get a notification here and there. It trickles that little bit of dopamine, and that just doesn't always go in the right direction. Some of the things with some of my clients that I try to make sure they understand is it's healthy to do some sort of a dopamine detox. The word detox is very interesting and overused right now. But what I mean by the social media detox or dopamine detox is just giving your brain a little bit more time throughout the day, especially in the morning, to stay away from your phone or stay away from whatever that is that gives you, like, whether it's the sugar in your coffee first thing in the morning, or some people wake up and they go right into like masturbation and different things like that. It's a wild world out there right now. So what I'm going to do today is give you a couple tips and tricks, and then maybe even help you create a blueprint to structure, to get away from this idea and bad habits, so to speak, bad habits of overutilizing the dopamine receptors or overutilizing your brain in general. Because we don't want to burn ourselves out. Say you wake up at 6 a.m. every morning, and then between 6 a.m. and 6:30 a.m., you've already been on your phone for 30 minutes. You're crushing your motivation for the day. And another thing, motivation's a little bit of an illusion. But so the main thing we're trying to go, instead of just motivation, is discipline. See, I'm already going there. We want discipline. So being able to wake you up in the morning, some of the things that I would say are probably going to be easiest to handle and to lower cortisol levels are going to be, find a good source salt in either a lime or lemon juice. Just add it to your water in the morning. And before you pick up your cell phone, if you can, I mean, there are reasons why. I usually shut mine off at nighttime, and then I'll turn mine on 30 or 45 minutes if you have that time, whatever that is. So whatever small part of time, say if you're up at 6, you have to leave by 7. Maybe giving yourself that first 15 or 20 minutes to create a good morning routine, and you don't turn on your phone or you don't check it first. You keep it on airplane mode or whatever it is to make sure that you don't look at that blue light and you don't automatically try to look for those notifications, social media, emails, whatever it is. So give yourself a little bit of time, anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes first thing in the morning if possible. Start your day off with some sort of electrolytes, whether it's a high-grade sea salt or just an electrolyte powder in general. I like to mix that in. For me personally, I'll mix that in with hydrogen tablets, or I'll use my hydrogen generator. But then you'll add those electrolytes. You'll add a little bit of lime or lemon in that, or lime or lemon juice into that water, and then start the morning off that way. And to replace me checking my phone first thing in the morning, is I have a book and I have it on my coffee table, because that's where I first sit in the morning. I'll stretch a little bit. I'll open that book now instead of hopping on my phone. And then I'll walk through, anywhere from a chapter. My goal is like a couple pages, depending on the book, the text, whatever it is, something I know is going to last about 15 minutes. So then I get a healthy hit of dopamine in the morning instead of just doom scrolling or just impeding my brain with all this blue light. So I'll pick it up. Sometimes I'll draw in the morning. For somebody else, if they have kids, cooking or whatever that is, you can go into something. It's good to replace that dopamine hit with something that's productive and giving yourself like a real dopamine hit instead. And then that'll fall in. Now, if you're going through the book, you're reading a couple pages, or you're getting up and you're able to straighten up the couch, or you're able to walk the dog, or fold a little bit of laundry, or do something, prep your meals, or whatever it is you're doing in the morning, you're giving yourself a better chance of. So dopamine are going to be these short hits throughout the day that you get. You have stuff like serotonin that are going to be a longer prolonged hit. So it's going to take a little bit more build up, and that's our goal. Is we're trying to work towards something to build up to. If you really got some balls, or you're a little courageous, I would say do a cold shower in the morning, unless you didn't sleep well the night before. But yeah, try to do maybe some cold shock therapy in the morning, because after that cold, one of the things that'll happen is, as long as you slept pretty decent, your cortisol levels will drop over the next, 20 minutes or so, and then you'll get a big hit of natural lasting dopamine, and that way too you can move forward with your morning without just doom scrolling. Doom scrolling in general too, or being in the blue light, or any of this artificial these hits of dopamine. There's a lot of studies that show that it basically makes you brain dead throughout the day. It can upregulate the wrong things in your brain, and it can also cause a zombie-like feeling throughout the day. Reading, making sure that you hydrate properly in the morning. Wake up, and if you can handle meditation, that's a great option too. Any of these are just going to basically compound your morning and be able to help you structure a better opportunity for your day. Creating a blueprint that doesn't lean into your bad habits, and you start leaning into healthier habits. We are pleasure monkeys without tails. So what that means is, we need to replace patterns. We're creatures of habit. So you have to replace a bad pattern with a good one. So if you have a problem with electronics first thing in the morning or throughout the day, and then you don't feel good about it, you resort to caffeine and other forms of stimulation throughout the day. If you're already drained by the time you get to your car and you're on your way to work, I suggest that you're going to have to change your habits in the morning. And those habits will take some time to change. But so once you are able to switch one or two habits, then you're going to start noticing over time. It may take a couple days, a week, 2 weeks, but you'll start noticing you have more clairvoyance in your brain, and you're not so stressed out throughout the day. Another thing apparently is dopamine eating, fast food. So we went from having this nice slow view of you can imagine like an old wooden train, or like a steam engine or a coal engine train that kind of takes its time. It's going 45, 50 miles an hour, and you're able to see the scenery throughout, the trip and the journey. And that's how life was before 2010 and all the social media and craziness. Now, we're trying to cut more and more corners. We're trying to make sure everything's faster and faster and faster. So our attention spans are dropping. I think our attention span right now for most adults and kids are 15 seconds. If you look, that's about what a TikTok video is. And so now not only are we searching for these little points of stimulus, but it's hard for anybody to focus on anything other than these small dopamine hits. So now we're in this bullet train. We're in this thing that goes, we're trying to figure out how to go to the speed of light to every direction. So we don't sit, and it's hard for us to take a breath and really appreciate our day. We're always stuck in the future, or dwelling on the past, and it's really hard to be present when we have all these things that are just at our fingertips. Social media, bad eating habits, dopamine eating is a big one. So this bullet train, also we have fast food, we have the Grubhub, we have these different apps and things that can just drop food off at our house. We went from hunting as a tribe and foraging to then, cooking at home, and then fast food becomes big in the 1980s, along with these TV ads and things like that. So then, more and more people, they don't go to the butcher shop anymore. They're going to the grocery stores. And then the grocery stores turn into fast food in the 80s and 2000s. And then now we don't even go to the fast food stores. We don't even go to the fast food restaurants. We don't even go to the grocery store. Everything's sent to the house. I have this joke. Some people eat paleo, but they don't even go to the store anymore. What version of paleo is that? You're not a caveman. I'm just saying, at least go to the store sometimes, or everybody has these short amount of time, or their windows just keep getting smaller and smaller. Life gets more and more expensive. One of the things is, like, we're all creating these lives through this 9 to 5, Henry Ford Rockefeller system that we don't appreciate what we do. A lot of people aren't creating anymore. They're just consuming, and then they get stuck in this world of escapism, where they need to escape every second they can throughout the day on their cell phones. They're taking vacations from their day-to-day life. They have to escape from their kids. They have to escape from their boss. They have to escape from their emails. They have to escape from their bad eating habits, and less people are going to the gym. More and more people are just sitting at home. We end up with issues like sciatica and lower back issues and tight hamstrings and all these things that we have gout, and a lot of this has to do with not feeling good. The microplastics, dehydration, lack of movement, lack of structure. So, and it's hard to feel good and want to do anything if you don't feel good. And nowadays we have all these little tiny hits from every direction, but the right ones. So queuing up life and actually taking life, just remember, you're the gatekeeper of your own destiny. You hold the pen, you hold the sword, whatever it is, whatever archetype it is that gets you to the race, the wand or whatever it is. But I just like to say the pen, because I've been on both sides of that street. And it's something that I kind of forgot, because I had an issue with discipline from my teens into my 20s. And then I was able to develop a level of discipline. Most people probably won't ever need to or want to, but and then coming into my 30s, in the last few years, I dabbled a little too deep in the dark side of ketamine and ended up with a ketamine addiction. And coming out of that made me realize, and how hard it is for most of our culture, because I forgot, because I didn't live that path for a long time. And it made me realize like how hard it actually is for people to get away from that dopamine driven lifestyle, and like focusing and being able to read again and remember what I'm reading in books, and then, being able to dive through cell phones, and or staying away from social media and apps and anything, because it just drains you. I've in the last 2 years, I've actually felt what it is to be that dopamine zombie. And I think overall it's a blessing in disguise, because for myself, I'm able to start to build programs and utilize programs for myself that I can pull myself out of that. But a lot of people, I realize, don't have that option. They're trapped in their work life. I shouldn't say trapped in their family, but they're trapped in providing for their family, and they don't, a lot of people are just barely, their mouth is barely above water, and they're gasping for air, and they don't realize that it's coming from the bad habits and the situations that they have created for themselves. Having structure, or building discipline over motivation, is going to be the biggest tool and success rate for these blueprints for you. And we'll just go through this again. I know I mentioned the water, but so say if you were building a program and I had to give you some tips right now, these are what I would suggest. Is more first thing in the morning, try to stay away from social media until maybe after lunch if you can. Give yourself 15 or 20 minutes in the morning. Always start with proper hydration. Throughout the day, if you can handle drinking at least 100 ounces of water for most people, with a little bit of electrolytes or salt in there, that's going to be a huge difference. Because one of the first things, especially us as mouth breathers in the morning, most people don't breathe through their nose while they sleep. They breathe through their mouth. It causes dehydration. Your mouth dries up, and it also elevates cortisol levels. Cortisol is the stress hormone. And then so first thing in the morning, what happens is people are stressed out. They resort right to caffeine, which is not an energy giver. It's a something. There's another thing called adenosine, and that is the hormone that makes you tired. So what caffeine does is actually blocks that hormone just for a few hours for the receptors. So as that hormone gets blocked, we go to social media and these type of things. So if you can wait 15 or 20 minutes, at least 30, it would be awesome. You stay out away from the blue light on your phone. Figure out some sort of something or other that you can do that's going to be like reading, some sort of task you can do in the morning to create a good morning routine. A little bit of breath work, 5 seconds here and there. If you can handle 5 breaths, that's huge. Learn how to belly breathe. It's just breathing in through your belly and through your chest. And then, pick up your phone, whether you put it in your car and you turn on Spotify or whatever that is on your way to work, or, you get the kids off to school, or whatever that is that you're doing in the morning. Try to prolong the caffeine for about an hour in. And then it's just start looking into healthier options for your brain for dopamine. And some of those healthier options are just better eating habits. There are also things like glutathione and a supplement called NAC. Those are huge. Those will help with upregulating your production of dopamine, and then electrolytes and amino acids are going to help your body produce. So your mitochondria is actually your energy system, and the mitochondria create something called ATP, and ATP is your actual energy source. So being properly hydrated and having the right amount of amino acids in your body throughout the day will give you prolonged real energy. And this will also help you not want to eat as much junk food. And then just trying to look into having a healthier set of eating habits, even if it's like maybe 1 or 2 good meals a day, and then you still have your fast food here and there, or whatever it is that you can get in there. Just try to eat a little more protein, healthier fats, and get some veggies in, or a green powder. And then when it comes to pornography, try to limit the amount you do throughout the week, and try to ask yourself why. What is the underlying factor? It's not because you want to see girls naked. It's because you think your brain's deprived of dopamine. So we get into these weird little stimulus cycles. So learning this will also help you learn how to have awareness. Once we hydrate ourselves properly, we'll learn how to breathe, and then we're teaching ourselves better habits and have better structure throughout our day. I know work can be stressful. We don't always have healthy meal options at work. Just do the best you can. Look into the 70-30 or 80-20 once you get there. 70-30 is enough to keep the sanity of you being able to have your snacks and your cookies and cakes and pizza and whatever that is, so you can get the mouth pleasure throughout there. But then you still have 70% discipline throughout the week, and that's going to be a way healthier alternative. And then just overall, other than the little brief history lesson and like kind of scattering back and forth throughout the conversation here, it's just like creating awareness and creating a blueprint that is going to help you with your greatest success. So if you are a 9-to-5 or you have goals in mind, but it's hard for you to understand how to get there, look at the macro of what you're doing or who you're idolize or what you're doing, and then try to create micro goals in between that. And those micro goals will be able to help structure your purpose or your purpose-driven life that you're creating for your good habits. And just remember, overall, it's a choice. We all have things that have happened throughout our life, and we don't necessarily always get the best deck of cards that we've been dealt through life. But it is your choice to hold the pen, and you're capable of writing your own story. And I hope each and every one of you are able to understand or comprehend what it is to be able to handle the effects of dopamine in our consumer culture. Just try not to be a slave to dopamine. Try not to be a slave to consumerism. I understand fashion's cool. The new cars are nice. But try to think and really understand why we're doing the things we are. So then you can kind of break yourself out of the matrix in some aspects and start thinking for yourself. Through life right now, it's pretty crazy. There's a lot of propaganda on social media and a lot of science-based tactics driven to divide us and to keep you stimulated and stuck on your phone or your electronics or whatever, or buying the next thing, buying the new car. And then throughout my life, I've noticed for myself is I fell victim to that a few times. I let myself fall victim to that a few times. Is you live in nicer neighborhoods. I had more money than I ever made in my life, and I still wasn't happy because I was always looking at the next step. I wasn't present enough to realize what I did have. I was always looking at the next thing. I moved to a different part of Harriman, and it was a nice gym. There was Maseratis, and there's, Bentleys and blah, 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 whatever cars in the parking lot. And you hear stories of people making $100,000-$200,000 a month. So people were on my $10,000 months in that realm seemed like nothing, because people are telling me about $10,000 days. But just don't get trapped in this idea, because there's a lot of people that are they are rich on paper. Some people are car broke, like they have this badass car, but they can't afford life. Unfortunately, we live in this culture that a lot of people have this fake it till you make it society. So it's okay to want to create something and start living the version of who you want to be rather than who you are at the moment, as long as you don't get just trapped and wrapped up in the whole idea of what it is. So creating purpose and creating a blueprint for your greatest success, or getting yourself out of a 9-to-5 life or whatever life that is that you think you need vacations and escapism from. For me, that's just not a life I'd ever want to live. And I've been in bits and pieces of it throughout my life. So I've been the 9-to-5er. I understand that. I used to live that life. I used to work for pennies on the dollar and breaking my back every day for somebody that didn't even appreciate me. And I did that from 14 to my early 20s overall. I've seen my dad do it for a long time. I've seen my mom and everybody else work for bosses and in situations that did everything but spark their soul. So just remember to have some creative flow in your life and try to create something, whether it's a better life for yourself, your kids, or whoever. But also remember, your cup has to be full throughout the day too, because you can't always fill everybody else's cup and expect somebody else to fill up your cup. We have to be the hero of our story and other people's, unfortunately, but fortunately. Just try to have awareness and just realize that the culture we have it's a fractured structure in modern day society, especially here in America. We have all this gross, nasty food that is pushed on us. We have all these new things that are continuously thrown at our face, and most of us aren't feeling well throughout the day. We're not hydrated. We understand and have life that the level of stimulation we have. We always need one more, and unfortunately, we're being indoctrinated into that reality. And I say that because I was there. I didn't realize I had the life I wanted to, but in reality, I just got stuck, and then I let myself get sabotage in so many words unintentionally, because my subconscious was looking at all these nice things around me, and I couldn't see what I had. So I just don't want people to fall into those same areas where you're living a life where you're just searching how to feel good constantly, because life isn't meant for just being able to feel good. It's some days are supposed to be hard. But if you can work through that and find a silver lining throughout the day, and we stop chasing feelings and we can handle our own thoughts, we're going to see a lot more. And then getting away from this dopamine driven culture and just these dopamine habits, you'll notice you'll have a less busy mind. Introducing more electrolytes, more amino acids, and healthier food options, your brain will slow down a little bit. It won't be so scattered. But just remember, if you want to make something happen, you're going to be able to do it. You'll find a way. Just want to say thank you to everybody, and have a wonderful day. Thanks for listening. This is Justin Our Minds.